Got it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Women on the Rise. Tonight, we are blessed with Miss Amanda, Coach Amanda. Amanda, she says she goes by kind of all of them, so whatever you want to call her. Amanda is a wife. She's a girl mom of two littles, and I'm actually going to let her share her story because it sounds incredible from what I've heard so far. So, Amanda, please take it away.
I love it. Thank you. So, like we were just saying, I am a wife for the last 10 years, mom of two. Adelaide is 11, Genevieve is 8. I'm a recovering people pleaser, is what I like to say.
Amen,
I
sister.
spent. Yeah, I spent the last 23 years of my life just chasing after all the wrong things in attempt to find my self-worth. And through that journey, I ended up losing 70 pounds. But more than that, I really gained my confidence, my
Yeah.
strength, and my passion. And suddenly, when I gained all of that, my goal was to literally help any woman that I possibly could in their own healing journey.
Oh my gosh,
So,
love
since
it.
yes, it's been amazing and so exciting. So, the last 9 years now, I have spent just helping women around the world actually reclaim their lives, awaken their minds, and then elevating their spirits and taking back their bodies. So, it's been a really
This
fun
is going to be
journey.
good, guys. Buckle up.
It really all started when I had my oldest daughter, Addie. I was in the dental field. That was the field that I absolutely loved. I did a little bit of everything in dentistry, minus being an actual dentist. Loved it because I loved giving people their smile back. I think smile is like huge. It provides so much confidence and joy. But after I had Addie, I just started realizing like there was something not quite fully there, which I think a lot of us have, where it's like, this is good and I should feel complete, but like something is not quite right. Something is missing. Not only that, but she was also my first baby, and I grew up with a stay at home mom, which I'm very thankful for. But I think in my head, it was like that's what I was supposed to be doing. So I came home one day from taking a Zumba class and told my husband that I wanted to quit my job in dentistry and become a Zumba instructor.
He says, what did you take at Zumba?
Right? Well,
That
but
music was
literally,
good.
it was, I'm like, Zumba, I guess, changed my life. But not getting a kickback for that, by the way. But my husband, after just a pause, just said, like, okay, how are we going to do it? And I had no idea, but decided, okay, I'm going to go and get Zumba certified. And so I actually drove, we're in Kansas, and drove to St. Louis, Missouri to get certified. Found out I was pregnant with my second right after that. So I'm like, okay, great, knocked up and about to start a new business. Good job, Amanda. So it was great and I absolutely loved it. I had no idea what I was going to do. I did know I didn't want to work in a gym. I had done that before, and no shame towards gyms themselves, but it just wasn't right for me. I wanted to be able to say, one, as a mom, when I was going to work, but two, I wanted to do things my own way. And I
Amen,
really
sister.
Yes. And I wanted to come from like this authentic self of like, here is where I want to meet you. And I didn't want people to feel as though they had to come and fit into my mold, but instead we were going to fit into their world.
Oh, I
And
love
so that was huge for me. I could not find a place to do it that didn't have super high rent, and I had no clientele yet. So I started calling around to different parks and recs. And there was a small town that I had graduated from. And I wrote them and said, could I rent your space and teach Zumba classes? And they were like, listen, we have tried to do fitness classes here, and sister, it doesn't work. And I just like kept persisting because I'm like, this is kind of like my last chance, or I feel as though I'm gonna have to work for a gym. So I'm like, give me a shot. If it fails, like you kick me out, no problem. But
it.
like I've paid you, and like we're both good. So
The
they said
small town
okay.
mentality, it just kills me. That's like roadblock, I'm gonna stop. And you were like, absolutely not. I loved it.
Oh, yeah, push my way in there.
Love it.
That being said, I called my mom and my grandma, and we're like, please show up to my class because I don't want to be alone. That first class, I think we had like around 5 girls, but we continued to grow. And before even a year, we went from 5 to up to 50 in a class. And soon we were at 75. And we were in like, think about like rec centers that have the kitchen attached. Like girls were like literally like all the way back in the kitchen by the stove doing like salsa dancing because it was so igniting. And I think as women, we've lost this spark. We've lost our femininity. Like we have lost this passion and even just like this pride of being a woman. And we've kind of tamed ourselves to fit into these molds of what we think that we're supposed to be. And like, it's hard to be moody when you shake your booty. And so we just started having fun and unleashing this like other side of womanhood that's meant to be there. So it was really exciting. And soon we were up to like 100 in a class. We were filling an entire basketball court. We started going outside and filling 2 tennis courts, like, and it was amazing. And suddenly we realized like maybe we need our own facility. So lucky for me, a friend of mine had recently bought a building. A bakery was going into the front of it. So why not like eat some buns and like work your buns all in one building? It just was like, sure, why not? It's gonna keep
Oh,
each other in business.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. So we were there for 2 years and it was amazing. We were so, so thankful for it. And then around that 2 year mark, my youngest daughter, Genevieve, was actually born with a liver disease. It is genetic. It's called Alagille syndrome. Usually no one has ever heard of it. It's about 1 in 70,000 that are actually diagnosed with it. And for her, she's even more rare because every test that we have ever taken, even ones sent to Germany, have said that she does not have it, but it is textbook Alagille. And so, how we kind of found out that she even had it was she was jaundiced at birth. A lot of kids are. My older daughter was. And they're like, oh, put them in front of the sun, they'll be fine. But by 2 months, she still was very sweet potato, yellow, orange. And it wasn't just her skin, it was also her eyes. And so the doctor just kept saying it's fine, but that gut feeling of like, this is not right. So we went and got a second opinion. That second opinion happened. They did blood work. And that night, the doctor herself called us and said, you have got to get to Children's Mercy, our local kids hospital, and you've got to get there now. And the rest was kind of a blur because we thought we had this healthy baby girl, like no problems at all, to suddenly like we have no idea what's going on. And it took quite some time for them to understand that. Tons of pokes, prods, even surgery. And it was just a kind of, I mean, like I said, a whirlwind. I don't remember a lot of it, if I'm being
Really a
honest.
good thing.
Yes, honestly, yeah. I think my brain was protecting itself.
Yeah.
But that being said, for 4 years, we were able to kind of monitor it with medication and regular doctor appointments with their liver team, the best team that we could have ever asked for. But at 4, they basically said things are not getting better. And in fact, they're getting worse. And we've got to put her on the transplant list. And that really became like, honestly, I will say a miracle. If you didn't believe in them before, like I sure did now, because we were supposed to go onto the list on a Monday. Our treatment coordinator, who like shout out to her, was very on top of it, decided on a whim basically to put her on the list on a Friday before she left for work. And we got the call on a Sunday.
Wow.
So within 48 hours, we had the call that she had a new liver. We were told to prepare for 6 months, if not more.
Wow.
So it was like a huge, like, it still gives me
I
goosebumps.
just got goosebumps. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
don't make me cry.
Honestly, it was like we had no idea. My husband picked up the phone. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and we just looked at each other and we just knew. And suddenly it was like, oh my gosh, like we have a liver. And like again, that whole time was just like you're holding her, you don't want to let her go because they've told you it's a 90% success rate, but they've also left open that 10%. And that's terrifying as a parent because you have no idea. And not only that, but here we have this other beautiful daughter who's 6, and like we're telling her, like, out of like waking her up in the middle of the night to tell her, like, we're headed to the hospital, you're going to grandma and grandpa's, like, we don't know how long we're going to be gone. Like, it was a lot to take in for all of us.
I'm
But
sure.
we are very thankful because the liver transplant went amazing. However, our story didn't stop there
Oh no.
because she had multiple things happen after transplant itself. And our what was supposed to be 4 week stay turned into 2 years. So it was a big shift. At that time, we were living 45 minutes away from the hospital. I don't complain because a lot of parents live out of state or way farther than that. So we are thankful we were at least within that hour of our other daughter. But yeah, living 2 years in the hospital sure changes things. And obviously, now we have this brick and mortar like business that
Mhm.
relies on me being there. And so I had other instructors that were instructing, but a lot of ladies, we kind of went by a month to month basis because we don't believe in we're locking you in for a year. Like, we want you to want to be there. And a lot of ladies were like, oh, we'll just wait till Amanda comes back. Totally got it. Like, no shame, no guilt. But that also meant like no money was coming in. And so we were still paying out for this brick and mortar business. And so, that whole time, not only that, but like, yes, we had insurance, but a liver transplant is $500,000 on its own. And you're not going to not do it, obviously, because you are there for your child. But then it's like they're charging you literally, for the marker that they've marked where they're going to make incisions at. So it's an intense process. And again, like, she went through a code blue, she went through 2 kidney failures, sepsis, a stroke. I mean, just multiple things. I have the most incredible fighter who
I want
teaches.
to reach through the screen and hug you right now. Like I can't even deal with this right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
she's amazing, and we're very thankful because that community that we had built that was supposed to be just fitness and working out was truly like your woman gang. And like they came around us and supported us, like meals, like offering to do sleepovers with Addie, my oldest, like you name it, like they were there for us. And I am so grateful and very humbled because like we could not have done it without that community. And the fact that like it was just supposed to be fitness, like you imagine like showing up, certain number shows up on your Apple Watch of like calories burned, and that's it. But like that wasn't it. Like, and I wasn't just for me, like ladies were coming around other women who were going through cancer treatment or a loss of a spouse or a parent, that were going through a house fire, like you name it. Like we became a tribe. And like it was not like that's your village and we do life together. And so I'm very grateful for that. But through those, 2 years of being in the hospital, we also knew we've got to do something else for another stream of income. So I actually started with a company called Stella and Dot, and they did accessories. And I just was like, you know what? I love these accessories. Why the heck not? And it was something I could do by her bedside. And it was something that was for me. Because as a medical mama, like your full attention is on your child as it should be. But something that I'm not super good at, I don't know if you do much with the Enneagram, but I'm a 2 and I'm a giver,
Yep.
but I give to everybody else but myself. And as much as I was, preaching it, I wasn't always doing it. And so this business to me was something that was fun. It was able to help provide for my family, but it was also something I could do once she had gone to bed at night, that I could just take a moment to breathe and like engage with other women.
Right.
So that business was an absolute godsend because I ended up working that business from her bedside, like I said, worked my way to the top 1% of the company. While we were in PICU, after Evie had had a stroke, I actually won, well, earned a trip to Mexico for my husband and I.
Wow.
And I remember us just like sitting there sobbing because we're in the hospital, like knowing that like we have this moment of relief that the two of us can go and like just breathe
Right.
and heal and like take that time together. The owner of the company, Jessica, I got to go to Vegas for one of our retreats. And she ended up gifting me, she heard my story, ended up gifting me her suite, like two-story suite. Like, and there's a video of like me walking in, and my friend Sarah said, like, girl, this is all for you. And I looked at the bed and like literally in the video, like I fell to the floor because I had slept at my child's hospital bed like a little cat, like on the end of the bed for 2 years. And it was like the first time I was going to get to like sleep in a bed by myself. And like for some that may seem like absolutely crazy, but it still like brings me like big emotion because like also it was the first moment that I felt like just seen. And not only just like seen, but seen in front of this crowd of like 2,000 women that like came around me and were like hugging me, and I'd never met them. Like there was like girls from Canada, like, hey, like what's up? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, and they had been following our story and had bought shirts without even meeting us that said like Warriors for Genevieve. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like just that power of women in business.
Yes. Amen to that.
Yeah. So it was super powerful. We graduated from the hospital, which is awesome. But then we found out when Evie got sepsis that the house that we were living in, with like totally unbeknownst to us, had black mold. So suddenly now we were homeless. We had gone into debt from owning this business for 2 years with no income coming in and income coming out. So we had to shut the doors of our facility at that same time. And we're like trying to heal Evie all at the same time, homeless, jobless, and like a sick child. And so we had to rebuild, moved in with my in laws, like God bless them. And during that time, I really suffered with, oh, I won't say full on depression, but sure as hell close, and anxiety of like, who the hell am I? Like, I did not know myself besides Genevieve's caretaker and Amanda, the fitness coach. And now both of those things were done in a sense. We were still doing pop up classes. I was thankful. A friend of mine owned a Taekwondo studio and was like, hey, you can use our facility for some of your classes. Like, we had ways that we were still doing it, but it was like feeling like you're just scraping. And I really wasn't showing up as my best self. And so I basically kind of took a year off from teaching classes on a regular basis. I started doing one on one health coaching. We focused on nutrition and mindset, especially. And I was very blessed for that. Moved into a new home, thank goodness. But after that year of self discovery, it just really occurred to me like where I wanted to be and enter in where we are now. We have rebranded that business that we had before, and we are now what's called Ember. It was a moment where I could not think of a name. And like my husband just started like poking and prodding like questions of like, what do you want women to feel when they come to your classes? What do you want to feel when they're doing this health coaching with you? What do you want to feel when you guys are doing your ladies' nights? And this same moment kept coming up of the fact that most of us have, as women have lost our spark. And I think every woman has this spark, but like it starts to dwindle. we start giving away pieces of ourselves throughout our life, like at a young age, even. And especially like when we go into having a career, getting married, having a family, like you name it, we suddenly become all these other roles and we start to forget who we are at our center. And even though there's still this burning and all those things are amazing, we start to forget like who I am as just Amanda. Like, what does Amanda want to do? And add in social media, add in society telling us who we're supposed to be as women. And like, now it's like, I guess I'm supposed to want monochromatic everything and like matching Halloween costumes and
You
like
Pinterest, it's ruining us.
right, right. And you start to forget like what it is that I actually want. And so I came home one night after one of these events, and my husband Doug was just like, I think I got your name. And I'm like, okay. And he just pulled it up and it said Ember. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is it. Because even though that fire or that flame can go out, there's still that flickering ember in front of you. Like it's never fully out. But
Oh
what
my
it
God, I love that.
Yes, but what it needs is to be like flame, like that fan flaming
Yep.
to be able to ignite again.
Yep.
And it needs people surrounding it, like pouring motherfucking gasoline on it and saying like, go wild. And it only takes one spark to ignite a wildfire. And we think each woman is that spark. And so God, like, there was a lot going on, obviously, during 2020. Like,
No.
you know, what? What's 2020? And so I won't even go into that. But
I
like during
blacked
that,
out.
right? How much time do we got? During that time, we just basically said, like, let's move things online. So in December of 2020, actually, we decided like, hey, let's start like offering some classes and just see what happens. We had a great response from it. So in January, we started doing an online membership. We started offering live classes 7 days a week, morning and evening. And we started recording all of them so that there could be a playback library because we know that these times don't always work with everybody.
Right.
So we also started doing something called Wine Wednesday, which then turned into Worthy Woman Wednesday. And we would just meet around Zoom, like for this like happy hour of women, but really just trying to like ignite these actual like thoughts of like, what do I want for my life? Like, who was I at my best? Who do I want to be? And these just like started like igniting again this passion within women to better themselves, better than their lives, because we're already badasses. We just need to be reminded of it.
Did we just become best friends? Because I
Yes,
think so.
please.
Oh my God, that just
Yes.
like that set my soul on fire. I'm like, oh my God, how do I not know her? Yes,
Right.
girl.
Well, and I think that's what so many of us feel of like, and what we need, because oftentimes, like, we feel alone. Like, we feel like we're the only ones, or we're odd because we're not doing everything the way everybody else seems to be.
And how do
And
you
like,
make
we need to
friends
be
as an adult?
reminded, like, be
It's
weird.
yes, be weird.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Do you, boo? Like, that's what I say all the time. I'm like, go for it. Why not?
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
yes. So that being said, like we just kept it going. And then finally, again, it started growing the way that it did before. And so just this month, actually, we launched our own platform. What's super
Wow.
cool is my husband's always been in the background of it. But literally, like, he's in the dental field as well, quit his job, and now we work full time together because we both feel like so passionate about it. And like, he's not even a lady, like,
I
but he's
love that
all
so
the important.
much.
Yes. And he's definitely more like the business side of it, which that is not my strong suit.
Yeah.
So it was really good to be able to have that because I'm very just like, sure, like why not follow the rainbow? Like, and he helps me think before I jump on the unicorn. So it's a good match. So yeah, now everything is online. We have our own portal. We still offer classes 7 days a week. I have three other instructors that do not work for me. They're 100% their own woman, but I promote their classes, and they're on our platform as well. We do Monday afternoons. We meet over the lunch hour and do this like little health huddle where we just say like, how are things going for you? Like, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Like, what struggles are you going to have this week? Like, just be raw and honest. And then Wednesdays and Saturdays, we meet up, and it's kind of like a glorified book club that's going into self help. So,
Well,
like, right now, we're reading the book Atomic Habits and like coming and like putting it into place because a huge thing in my own journey of losing 70 pounds and now coaching like thousands of other ladies for 10 years is when we start a health journey, we often try to like do everything. It's like we get to this point where we're like, okay, I got to change something. So I've got to change everything.
everything
So
at
like we're
once.
like, yeah, a gallon of water, like meal prep all our meals, work out all the time. I'm gonna journal. I'm gonna go to bed at 8. Like, and then we don't do one of those things and we feel like we failed. And it's not the case. It's just like that's not how it needs to be done. We've got to like stair step our way. And that's what's gonna make it a lifestyle. And that's what's gonna allow you to keep it. It's what it's allowed me to keep off 70 pounds for 10 years. Like, so that's where we really dive into the mindset because, again, so often we come to a fitness class and it's like calories burned, our sweat, and like, girl, we're going to get some results.
Right.
But like, it starts here and it starts here. And if
Amen.
we don't do that work, it's not going to stay and it's not going to sink in.
You like speak to my soul and everything you say. I'm so glad
I'm so
Facebook brought us
glad.
together.
Yes, me too. Like, yeah, social media and that
Maybe side
aspect.
note, guys, I've never met Amanda. Not even
No,
like virtually. This is our first time meeting. We've
yeah,
chatted in messages or like commented on a post, and I was like, I think I need her on this interview. So I reached out. She's like, yes. And then like I have just fallen in love. Like girl crush times 100, not in a weird way. Sorry.
all for it.
But I
I love
adore you.
it.
Oh my God.
I love it. Well, I love what I do and I feel very blessed. I think again, it's like so many of us feel this like overwhelm and underwhelm at the same time. And like I said, like it didn't feel right to be in the dental world, but then I came home to be stay-at-home mom and I'm like, this is supposed to be enough and I love this baby with all I have, but like mama needs something more as well. And I think as women, we're often conflicted because, again, we feel like this is what we're supposed to do. And based on even our family line, like that's been our like go to of what we think is supposed to be right. And then now social media and movies and things like that. And like we've got to come back to the core of us and what's right for us as individuals.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't
Yes.
even know where to start with like questions, but okay, well, so you've kind of touched on it then. Advice for the woman who is feeling that underwhelmed but overwhelmed at
Yeah.
the same time. Like, I know there's something, I've got all this going on. How can I do one more thing, or how can I figure that thing out that I want to kind of gear toward, I guess?
Yeah. I think a huge thing for me is I'm an emotional person, but I don't always know where those emotions are coming from, right? And
Okay.
as women, again, like we're go, 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 and we become human doers, not human beings.
Mhm.
And we don't often slow down, and we're definitely not really assessing what we need. We're assessing what everybody else in our life needs from us.
Right.
And a lot of the time, we feel like in order to love our people, we have to become selfless and be like, because I love you so much, I'm going to put you up here and I'm going to be back here on this back burner. But I'm exhausted and I have no excitement about anything, or I feel depressed or that anxiety. And honestly, like, have you heard of Glennon Doyle?
Well, when you said something earlier about Untamed, I was like, okay,
Yes.
Glennon, like,
Yes. So I absolutely love her book Untamed. And like one of the quotes that really sat with me is like, when a woman finally learns that pleasing the world is impossible, she becomes free to learn how to please herself. And I think again, like we hold ourselves right to this, like, oh, I'm supposed to look like this. Like I'm supposed to like make my own fruit snacks for my kids, like, all these things, and we don't. And we feel like we're failing that position that we're holding. And it's just not the case because like we're here to design and to decide our own life, our
amen.
own relationships, and the world, like in this world it's true and beautiful enough for you, like we have to ask that question, Like, am I feeling fulfilled?
Right.
And those feelings of overwhelm and underwhelm are those emotions trying to tell us something in the exact same way that, like, your belly rumbling is telling you something.
Yep.
Like, we don't get mad at our belly for rumbling. We just go to the pantry. Yet these emotions come up and we're like, stuff them down.
Yep.
Like, don't pay attention to them. Or we take them and put them in this backpack because we think if we can't see them, they won't matter anymore. But the fact is, we still feel them.
Yep.
And so for me, like, my advice is always like, be open to the fact that there could be something more. Like,
Mm.
if you thought mom was it and then you became that and that wasn't enough, like, be okay with and be open and be curious.
Don't be
Is
ashamed
there
of that.
more? Yes. And like give yourself that permission and like allow yourself to be curious. Like we always tell our kids, like, be curious. And like a question I hate is like, what do you want to be when you grow up? As if like you become that thing and suddenly like you've arrived. Like, no, like we are always growing, we are always changing, and you are not here to adjust yourself to fit the world. Like, you're here to be fully, rawly, authentically you, and the world will adjust to you, sister. Like,
Oh
and it
my
will be
God.
drawn to you.
Your
Like,
kids
when
are
you,
so lucky. They are going to be the most badass little girls. Like, they're
I
going to
hope
go to
so.
school preaching while mom was preaching. I love
They
it.
already do have those moments, and it are those like, yay, like moments of like they are listening.
Oh my
Like,
God. I love it
yeah.
so
But
much.
it's true. Like when we give ourselves permission to be ourselves, like it gives permission to everyone around us
Yep.
to be themselves. And
Amen.
like we're like, it's a beautiful thing. Like we've got to know, we've got to know that that's okay.
Oh, I keep saying amen. It's like you're preaching. It's insane.
Yeah.
I feel hallelujah
Go
too,
to church.
probably. But yes, take me to church.
That's right.
Um, so you've clearly had a lot going on, and I'm sure at times it gets overwhelming, and you're like, "Holy cow, I can't do." Do you ever
Mhm.
get like that? Do you ever say, "How do I
Oh,
continue?" Or how do you bring yourself out of that? Because you seem very positive. Like life has tried to knock me down one, two, three times, four,
yep.
and you haven't let it stop you. And I just, wow.
Yeah. I think it's just the fact that something that we learned, especially through all of our trials with Evie, is like nobody has a choice in what happens to us for the most part. Like we don't get to choose a lot of our circumstances, but we always have a choice for how we react and how we show up in that moment. And like 100%, I've had my craft fest. I've eaten some Haagen-Dazs by myself in the dark watching a chick flick. Like there's been moments of crying. There's been moments that I didn't want to get out of bed 100%. And again, I think that needs to be said because again, on social media, for the most part, not to like diss it because it has so many good things about it, but like we just see this and
Yep.
the happiness and the joy. And like, again, like we don't want all the negative Nancy's just like life sucks. But like we want to hear like today life sucked, but I'm choosing to get back up. Like
Yeah.
we want to see that. And so I think too for us, like, and when you have a spouse, when you have a child, when you have somebody in your life that you love immensely, like you get up for them as well. And I think that that's the importance as well as having a community and why like what we've created at Ember is huge is like mornings that we don't want to get up at 5 to work out. Like, you know that your crew's going to be like, where were you, girl? Like,
Yep.
what's going on? Are you okay? And so having that community around you or having those people that push you and get you out of bed in the morning when you don't want to get out of bed are huge.
I think
Yeah.
that's when you know you found what you're supposed to be doing, what gets you out
Yeah.
of bed every day, and whatever that is, seek that. Go run.
Right.
I don't care if you know
Right.
what you're doing, go for that. Ask
Yeah.
somebody, ask Coach Amanda, ask me, ask somebody.
Yeah.
Like, here's what I'm thinking, and just collaborate. Just help, like, have somebody help you out. I did not realize how darn long we've been talking because wow, this
So,
is too easy to talk. So where can people find you? Like they need
yeah.
to know this. They need to know how to get in touch with you and how to join
Yeah.
this amazing community.
Yeah. So if you want to learn more about what we're doing at Ember, it's just emberwc.com. And that has kind of our information. And then, of course, we have Facebook. So at that, it's just Ember Wellness Collective. So you can find us there. Again, we just launched actually the Planksgiving. Anyone can join anytime. So whenever this is aired, it's not too late. You can join. It's completely free, and it's just a moment like to get a little taste of our community, because I know sometimes people want to just like dip their toe in the water first, see how it feels,
Well, if
and
they
then
don't
understand.
really love you by now, I don't know what they're gonna do. Goodness gracious.
Well, we're all for it, however that they want to do it. But yeah, online there, and then we have on Facebook as well a group called Jewels for Genevieve, and that's our boutique, which we have expanded. We have clothing, accessories, and even dish towels. So we've got something for everybody.
Even dish towels. How did you know I
That's
love
right.
dish towels?
Just like boop, and they're all sassy dish towels. I should
I
say that.
freaking love it. My current one says turnip the beat.
I love it. Yes, that's
And I
exactly.
couldn't pass it up.
I'm corny like that. That's great.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think we should tell these people goodbye. I cannot wait to edit this and get it up. It could be tonight. We'll see. Maybe it'll be sister shout out Saturday. I don't know. It's going up soon because people need this in their life.
I love
So
it.
thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for joining us. There were some tears. There was a whole lot of laughter. This was one of my favorite interviews so far. So I cannot wait to get it posted for you guys. You know where to find her. It'll be in the show notes. And thank you again for joining us. Have a great night.